नमस्ते प्रणाम गीता ध्यान ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. Ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showering the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism through your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devakim Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. O son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanu, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Today we will be reading the 66th Shloka of Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter, second adhyay of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna's explanation to Arjuna regarding his query, how does a sthita prajna behave? How do you describe a person with a steady wisdom, whose intellect is in equilibrium, he is equipoised? Now, Sri Krishna has already told about what kind of a person is sthita prajna. How does he behave? How does he look? How is it? What is his stature? How seeing such a person doing some things, these things, you can know he is a sthita prajna. And now Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna that what happens with the person who is not so. Sri Krishna has already told what happens. How a person with steady wisdom, sthita prajna, sthitadhi, and also the one who has a tendency to get into ecstasy, samadhista, how such a person is. He has described in great details. And now, Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna what happens if a person doesn't behave like this. If you find a person not behaving like this, who is not a sthita prajna, who is not with a steady wisdom, steady intellect, what happens of him? Sri Krishna says, nāsti buddhir-ayuktasya chāyuktasya bhāvanā chābhāvayataḥ śhāntir aśhāntasya kutaḥ sukham. Now, having told about one with a steady wisdom, buddhir-ayuktasya, having whose wisdom, whose intellect is firmly established in that steadiness. Buddhi-ayuktasya. That's what he had told in the 65th Shloka. And also in the 64th Shloka, he had talked about such a person, prasadam adhigacchati. He gets eternal peace. Prasadam, the grace of the Lord is always showered on such a person with a steady wisdom, because his entire focus is on the Lord. His entire focus is on the mother and nothing else. No sense gratification, no enjoyment of sense objects for him. He is beyond that. He has left that path well behind, and he has traveled the path to such an extent that he doesn't even have any longing for enjoying those sense objects. That is the thing. Now, what is the opposite way? of such a person? Or how does a person with the intellect bent upon the enjoying the sense worldly objects, or enjoying the sense objects, how does that person behave? Or what happens of that person who is not with the steady wisdom? Nāsti, not is. Buddhir-ayuktasya. Buddhi is intellect, wisdom, knowledge. Yuktasya, unsteady. One with this wisdom which is unsteady, fickle-minded. What happens of him? Nacha ayuktasya bhāvanā. Nacha, and not. Ayuktasya, of unsteady. His intellect is unsteady, and also his bhāvanā, the meditative thinking, the meditation, the thinking process as such, that is also unsteady. So he is fickle-minded, unsteady mind, and unsteady thinking process, jumping from one topic to another, one thing to another, that kind of the fickle-mindedness. Na asti buddhi ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhāvanā. Both intellect and the thinking power, they are unsteady. Nacha chābhāvayataḥ śhāntir. And for such a person, nacha abhavayataḥ. Abhavayataḥ again is not the unmeditative nature. One who cannot get into the habit of meditation, to get the habit of thinking, to get into the habit of discrimination. Now, such a person also is devoid of śhāntir, devoid of peace. And if that is the case, aśhāntasya kutaḥ sukham. And if there is no peace of mind, if there is no peace, if there is no peace in the heart, if there is no peace in one's being, then kutaḥ sukham, where is the happiness in his life? There is absolutely no happiness, and that's why one should have that discriminatory power. One should have that steadiness of wisdom, steadiness of thinking, that think only about the divine. There is no wisdom in the fickle-minded, nor is there meditation in him. To the unmeditative, there is no peace. And how can the peaceless enjoy happiness? If there is no peace in life, there can be no happiness. We get disturbed by so many things in our daily life, by so many happenings in our daily life. This fellow said about me like this. That fellow did like this to me. This is what happened to me in the office today. This is what happened to me in the home today. With all these kind of disturbing thoughts that we have day in and day out, there is no peace of mind. And when there is no peace of mind, there is no unhappiness, there is no bliss, there is no joy, there is no pleasure. The loss of peace from our life, those troubled thoughts in our mind, they take away all the positive aspects from us. We become restless, we become annoyed, we become angry, and all kind of those negative attitudes set in. If our wisdom is not steady, if our intellect is not steady, if our discriminative power doesn't work properly. Now, yoga is the science of self-culture. He who devotedly practices it, the yoga, is called yukta. One who practices the science of self-culture, the self-balance, the self-mastery. He is called as yukta. Therefore, Sri Krishna has said, buddhir-ayuktasya. Ayukta is not having that quality, not having self-mastery. One who is yukta, one who has the self-mastery. For him, everything is smooth. For them, everywhere he finds peace. Come what may, in whichever situation he is, in whichever circumstances he is present, there is peace for him. Because he has the self-mastery. He knows what to take in. He knows what to discard. He doesn't accept anything which is not fit for his peace, which is not fit for his peace. He doesn't accept. You see why we become nervous, why we become agitated, why we lose peace of mind? Because we allow external factors to affect our peace of mind. We allow it. But a yukta, but a one who has a self-mastery, one who has mastered the science and art and technique of yoga, one who has mastered the technique of becoming one with the Lord, becoming one with the Mother, he doesn't accept all those nonsense things. For him, everything is modesty. Now, but he who is indifferent to self-mastery, who cannot gain self-mastery, is ayukta. And therefore, Krishna talks about buddhir-ayuktasya, bhāvanā ayukta, a such person who is not fit for discrimination, who is not fit for proper steady wisdom, because he has no self-mastery. For him, there is no peace of mind. The lack of intelligence, the lack of proper discrimination brings in the deprives us from getting peace in our life. It sets in that which is not peace, the trouble, the agony, all these the negative elements are set in without proper thinking, without proper meditative practices, tendency of meditation, discrimination. It is by the practice of self-culture, buddhi or right understanding is developed. It makes the mind profound, which state being known as bhāvanā. Bhāvanā is the state. Bhāvanā is the state that puts us into this kind of a thinking habit. It is what is called as bhāvanā. Our thinking, our meditation, our thinking beyond. Not this thinking about these worldly objects, but thinking beyond. That bhāvanā. The one devoid of profundity does not get at śhāntir. Who is devoid of profundity, who is devoid of searching for the highest, who is lack in that aspect of bhāvanā, the meditative thinking, he lacks in getting peace, the serenity of mind, the tranquility of mind. How can there be happiness to one with a disturbed mind if there is no peace? There is no chance of happiness setting in. It is nothing but worried mind. It is nothing but a disturbed mind, which is not at all tranquil, which is not at all at peace, which is not at all enjoying peace. It cannot enjoy peace. Excellences such as deep discrimination, benign meditation, solemn bearing, and unbroken joy emanate from the practice of yoga. Therefore, one has to be yukta. He who is indifferent to this soul-elevating science paves way for self-destruction, like we have seen earlier. How a person without any tendency to gain the self-mastery, can get into self-annihilation, self-destruction. Now, uh, going hand in hand with this teaching of Sri Krishna, of the one who is lack of steady wisdom, buddhir-ayuktasya, and one who is lack of meditative thinking, he cannot get peace of mind. And if there is no peace of mind, how can there be happiness for such person? Now, to this, in line with this teaching of Sri Krishna to Arjuna, Sri Ramakrishna has also given us a beautiful quote. Sri Ramakrishna says, "Clay allows itself to be molded into any fine form." The clay that the children play with it, they, the molding, clay. But baked clay is of no use for this purpose. Till the time the clay is soft, it is malleable, we can create anything out of that clay. We can create a beautiful idol of our chosen deity. We can create toys. We can create, shape that clay into the form of animals and whatnot. Till the time that clay can be molded. If we bake that clay in fire, that clay, like while making bricks and all, when that clay in the brickwork, in that fire, what happens? It becomes a strong brick. Now, you cannot mold it into any other form. That has taken a form and that's it. So, Sri Ramakrishna further says, he compares now mind with that clay. Mind burnt by profane desires is incapable of taking divine molds. The mind which has been put in that fire of enjoying the worldly desires, of enjoying sense objects, that clay has gone, has become a brick, and you cannot mold it into the divine molds. You cannot make a bhakta out of that clay. You cannot make a jnani out of that clay. You cannot make a karma yogi out of that clay. You cannot make a raja yogi out of that clay. You cannot any sort of yogi from that clay. That clay has lost its discriminative power. That clay has lost its the devotional tendencies of surrendering itself to the Lord. That is a hardened clay, unfit for devotion, for the divine path. So that is the beautiful example Sri Ramakrishna has given. And then for that kind of clay, what can be there? For that kind of person who is deep into enjoying the worldly sense objects, the worldly desires, for that person, where there can be any peace? Because the experiences of enjoying the sense objects always bring in the pairs of opposites with them. At one point of time there is pleasure, another point of time there will be pain. If there is a joy, there will also be sorrow. If there is happiness, there will also be unhappiness. Now, what are such circumstances when you are getting into you are entangled into the pairs of opposites? You can never have peace of mind. Peace of mind will only come when you are going beyond the pairs of opposites, and only when you have peace of mind, you will enjoy the ultimate peace. Without peace of mind, there is no happiness at all for these worldly enjoyers, so-called. So that is Sri Krishna's teaching to us today in this 66th shloka of the Sankhya Yoga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.